And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. This is episode number 21, and I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin'. Of course, I'm joined today by my amazing co host, Roger.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today?
So, man, Roger, what you been playing over the past week?
Well, I've been playing a bunch of Valorant recently. Still doing my Tuesday, Thursday, Valorant. Hearth and Home was released last weekend, I believe, or the weekend before. With Hearth and Home coming out, I had been playing that. Yeah, that came out on the 18th, I think, or something. So Hearth and Home came out. It came out early, actually. So I was playing that. Other than that, really, Minecraft a little bit. But how about you, Vic? What have you been up to?
Just recently beat Death's Door, as the stream would know. Since I beat it on stream, that game was a lot of fun, and I definitely understand why it has won Game of the Year, or not one, but it's in the talks for winning Game of the
Yeah.
Year. Sorry, I'm already giving the award out. It's not even there yet, because we got tons of other games coming out over the next couple of months here anyway. But yeah, of course, playing the standard Valorant sessions usually every night. It seems like I've definitely been hopping into the Halo Infinite Flight as well. So that's been a lot of fun, bringing back a lot of memories of just playing Halo. Man, it feels great. The game overall feels great, and I'm excited for the release in December. So, nonetheless, been playing Forza Horizon 4, just getting mentally prepared, I guess, for Forza Horizon 5 because 4 was great and 5 looks even better. So, I'm really excited for it. But yeah, man, let's get into this week's gaming topics. We'll start off with our big juicy topic. We're gonna talk about the Nintendo Direct that came up out of nowhere, honestly, like always. But the first thing on the list here is the Super Mario movie was announced. What are your takes on this movie and the cast that was announced?
Sorry. You dropped for a minute there.
Oh, nice. Did you hear anything I said?
I heard you talk about the Super Mario movie. So, we heard the Super Mario movie got announced. We've got an all-star cast, it seems, here. In addition, we also got to see some side character roles that we're not specifically here to talk about. But if you see the Nintendo Direct, you'll see a large portion of the cast. We've seen Chris Pratt as Mario, which seems an interesting take to me. But Charlie Day as Luigi, to me, when I saw that, I was like, yeah, no, I think that's a perfect choice for Luigi. Anya Taylor-Joy, who is going to be playing Peach. We've got Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, which I think is awesome, and Jack Black playing Bowser. I think really honestly that's one of the cool roles I think will really stand out there. The comedic genius that I think Jack Black is at times. Yeah, his movies are a little outlandish, but I think him being Bowser will be a fun addition to the movie. What about you, Vic?
Yeah, I think this is a phenomenal cast lineup. I mean, on paper, the names sound great, but how they portray the characters, I think, will be rather interesting. Just for the fact because I wasn't thinking Chris Pratt was going to play Mario. Like honestly, I just don't know why they went down that path. But it's just like,
Yeah,
all right, we'll see. I mean, most of his movies and stuff are usually pretty good. So, I mean, I'm excited to see this new role. I mean, I love the comparison that they did was the Mario and Rabbits cover. It has Mario holding like that gun that looks similar to his gun in Guardians of the Galaxy. So they were like, yeah, they were
yeah.
already hinting at it, but not really. But that was something pretty cool that I did see on Twitter while scrolling down. But yeah, man, it does come out next December. Well, not this coming December. December 21st, 2022 is the official release date as of right now. But we know how things have been going in the media industry. Things keep getting delayed and moved and all that stuff. So right now, I'm just going to say that that's a tentative date. But nonetheless, I think it'll be. I think hopefully it's a good movie. Hopefully it goes down the same path as like the new Sonic movie, which was really good, and the Detective Pikachu movie, which was really good.
Yeah.
Like the movie
And that's
adaptations of
actually
games.
what I was about to say. We're getting two great Nintendo slash Sega movies. So for us to finally get another one, it only kind of felt like it was bound to happen. But the fact that we're now getting a third CGI movie for a Nintendo style game, Honestly, if it's anything like Detective Pikachu or the Sonic movie, or potentially the second Sonic movie, because the first, we know they released a lot of trailers and everyone was in outrage, and they actually pulled the movie back
Right.
just to fix it for the fans. I think if we get that kind of engagement with the community once again, um, this might be a great movie. Honestly, I thought both Detective Pikachu and as well and Sonic the movie were really really good.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. So I'm eager to see when this does come out. It'll definitely be on my list of going to see. Hopefully we can go to theaters and actually see this and not have to watch this on like a premium service, pay astronomical amount to do that. But
Hmm.
yeah. But moving on here, another thing that they announced at the Nintendo Direct was the Nintendo 64 and Genesis games are coming to the Switch Online service. This was already kind of leaked out there, but
Well,
now this is official. What's your
to
thoughts?
make sure you're also aware, it's not just that it's coming to the online service. There is a new subscription for Nintendo now. The Nintendo subscription now has a plus feature, if you will, a Nintendo Plus.
Yeah, I think it's called what
If you
the
get this,
expansion pack. I think is what that tier level's called.
yeah. So to get the next to get those N64 and Sega Genesis games, you do need the expansion pass or whatever their next level of subscription is. You know, like Hulu has HBO Max to be able to really get those things. Well, Nintendo now has, you know, Nostalgia Plus. So you have to kind of go back, pay a little bit more, but you can now play games that is going to be an ever growing catalog of them redoing some old classics.
Right, yeah, because as of right now, there's only 9 Nintendo 64 games coming and 14 Genesis games coming. So
Correct.
the Nintendo 64 games is Dr. Mario, Mario Kart, Mario Tennis, Sin and Punishment, Star Fox, Super Mario, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Wind Back, Covert Operations, and Yoshi Story. Do any of those games like bring back really good memories where you would like to play it again on the Switch?
Yeah. No. I was super excited. Like for me, I've talked about it before. Ocarina of Time and many other Legend of Zelda games have always been one of my favorite things to play. Like they were actually one of the first few games that I actually got to play on Game Boy, like the original Game Boy
Mhm.
Color, and going on to the N64, playing both Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. As a kid, I wasn't really able to beat the games because they kind of went a little above my head. And everyone complains about, say, the Water Temple in Ocarina of Time. But for me, I'm super excited for these games to come out because it's they're classics. They really defined a generation of video gaming. F-Zero, you know, Yoshi's Story. They're also announcing that they showed a lineup of other games to come. They have the one of the original the Kirby for N64.
Mhm.
That was an amazing game. So there are tons of great games for N64, and for many fans, this is the first time you saw a 3D game. You know,
Right, yeah.
Sega Genesis, Sega, the Super Nintendo, it was all 2D games. The N64 was that console that took gaming into the third dimension.
Right, yeah. I remember having N64. I mean, I still have one now, and it's just like I need to add to that collection. I want to start buying more games for it because that was one of my all-time favorite systems to play. Like I played countless hours of Star Wars Pod Racer on it, or Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 were some of my
Yeah.
favorites, or even that one army game that we kept renting from fucking Blockbuster every weekend to
Yeah.
play. I forget what it was called exactly, but man, it was like the little army toy soldiers. Man, such a great time on that. But other games that are coming from the N64 to the Switch later on are Banjo Kazooie, F Zero X, the aforementioned Kirby 64 game, Mario Golf, Paper Mario, Pokemon Snap, and The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. So they have a pretty good lineup coming. I'm curious to see like when they stop, like how many games they're going to really add because the 64 had a pretty
Yeah.
substantial collection of games to begin with.
And
So
not to mention, there was tons of Japan exclusives that never really hit the United States, or if they did, they were so underwhelming or so uh un unsponsored that nobody really knew they were coming. So they just
right.
never happened. And people talk about these games that, you know, they may have torrented or things to actually get them years later. And so I'm definitely excited because this opens up a lot of lanes for people who never got to play Japanese exclusive games. Because we could potentially see some of those.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool to see some games that most people over here probably have never even played before, and actually now have an opportunity to play them as well.
Yeah,
So that'd be really cool to see. But onto the Genesis lineup, it's bringing a lot of good games, a lot of classics that I can remember faintly, but I know they're the gaming classics to begin with. You have Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra Hard Corps, Doctor Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, Eco the Dolphin, Golden Axe, Gunstar Heroes, Rise Star, Shining Force, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Streets of Rage 2, which is a huge game, Musha, Fantasy Star 4, Shinobi 3, Strider. Like some of these games are still having games come out, like new iterations of these games. So people will be able to see where these games came from to where they are now too. So I think that'd be pretty cool. Any of these ones here stand out to you?
Sonic 2. It's a
Sonic 2.
classic.
Yeah.
You know, I just the the music for the first level it was so upbeat. You can still hear it in your mind.
Right.
I just
It,
I loved Sonic 2. It was such a classic game. And I actually, when I was at Con in July, I actually got to see um, New Worlds, which was the Final Fantasy band, covering other songs from classic Japanese games. And one of them, they did the original. They redid the song from the first Sonic level in Sonic 2,
hmm,
and they did it with wind instruments and it was really solid. It was an amazing show, and like to be able to these iconic classics are loved by a lot of people. But what about you, Vic? Do you remember
right.
playing much on the Sega Genesis?
Not too much outside of probably like Sega or Jesus, Sonic. Sonic was probably like
Mhm.
one of the main ones that I can personally remember playing. I do remember playing the Lion King game on the Sega Genesis as well, which they just ported over to the
Aladdin.
Switch. Yeah, that and Aladdin. Like they've already been ported over to the Switch anyway as like new games, but I actually ended up buying it on the Xbox to relive those memories because that game was super challenging back then. And I started playing. I was like,
Yeah.
this game ain't that hard. And then I get to a certain level, I'm like, fuck. Now I remember what this shit used to piss me off when I was a kid.
When you're jumping across the fucking heads of the fucking giraffes, that was the
Yes,
one. That was my kryptonite.
yes, I always hated that level. I was like, yo, I don't even play it no more. It made me mad again. But I'll eventually get back into it because it's always like one of those like nostalgia factors that are just
Yeah,
really enjoyable to play.
I agree. But moving on here, talking about some classic games still existing to this day. Uh, we've got Kirby, and the Forgotten Land. Was just announced. It is a redesigning the classic RPG Kirby, where you ran around side scroller. Now in 3D, we've got a classic post-apocalyptic world, just like we had with the Super Mario game,
Mhm.
Super Mario Odyssey. We're gonna now see a Kirby-style game like Super Mario Odyssey, a full 3D game, X, Y, and Z, not side scroller, and we're going to be able to play as Kirby in this world. And I'm excited. I think this is the game we were talking about that the developers for Mario Odyssey were in process of making a game. I think
Yeah,
we're looking
appreciate the
at right
follow,
now.
Gunlow, Gun 10.
Yeah, thanks for the follow, man. But this game is probably what we were looking at a while back when we talked about the spoilers for the devs for Super Mario Odyssey making a new game. We are getting a new 3D Kirby game.
Right. Yeah. This looks super exciting because I actually that was one of the games I played and beat on the Switch was Odyssey, and seeing this one comes out just it hits all the factors for me. It's a classic Kirby game. It's now 3 dimensional, like you said, X, Y, and Z, set in a post-apocalyptic world. And I love games any that are set in that time, like in that kind of setting of a game. So I'm really excited to see how they can implement like a Kirby in that type of setting, given all like the unique powers and stuff that Kirby does have. This game is set to release on the Nintendo Switch in spring of 2022. We're adding to the list again. 2022 is
Yeah.
going to be
Well,
massive for gaming.
it is, and talking about more stuff to come, not in 2022 though. we've got a new Animal Crossing DLC coming here. Not really a DLC, just free update. It looks like we're finally going to be getting the museum coffee shop again. One of the fans' favorite locations from Animal Crossing. So, Vic, are you a fan of Animal Crossing at all? Do you have New Horizons?
I've never played it, but I know how important the Horizon game has been throughout the pandemic because it kept people busy, it kept people connected. Like there was so much content that was created just from this new um, game, and it was pretty cool to see. Like people were making like talk shows inside the game and having like a podcast more or less, kind of like how we're doing, but set inside the game and going to people, exploring different people's islands and seeing the creativity. Man, it's just I love to see that in the gaming community, just to see how everybody just came together in one game, and this game blew up, man. It really did. I appreciate the hosting, JD. Definitely appreciate it. But yeah, what's your take on it? Because I know you and everybody else in the nerd herd, man, have been playing this a lot, or did at
Well,
least.
I personally, and I know a bunch of people like Phil and Jordan, we've kind of dropped Animal Crossing New Horizons. Don't get me wrong, it was a great game, but it's got its limitations. Eventually, you run out of things you want to do in the game,
Mhm.
or you start using time skips like somebody in the room here, where you just start forwarding and reversing time till you get to a date that gives you what you want. So, with that being said, though, this game has really come a long way, in my opinion. They're continuing to evolve and add to this. I think it's really awesome that we're going to continue to see the game being updated, moved forward on,
I
and
appreciate the host,
remember
Smokezilla. Appreciate the host.
the original Animal Crossing was actually an N64 launch title, So maybe we might see the original Animal Crossing come out for, Nintendo Plus. It was only released in Japan actually, and
Mhm.
America got it when it was re-released on and enhanced on GameCube that same year. So we're looking at probably a pretty large update for a lot of the community. They're really excited for this. But
Right. Yeah,
talking
because
about
like
updates here,
because they like to add a bunch of different things to be able to
yeah,
customize your world and your houses and stuff like it's almost because it's like legitimately a sandbox game, but like in a different realm. Like I don't
yeah.
know. It's a very unique game.
It's a casual sandbox is what it is. It allows you to really build your own sort of people build like terrain bubbles, like little terrariums and
Hmm.
stuff where they house just small plants and other cool stuff or small life. Well, for Animal Crossing is like that for many people. People like to just build and just be able to hop in and they've got their own little world instead of just looking at it on your desk. You get to play inside this just world of your own creation. Some people, like my wife, created a little street vendor area where people would sit and have food and stuff, and she put little fake uniforms behind the stalls so it looked like there were people working them. It's really and it's amazing the things that just creativity that comes out of the game, and it's just such a casual fun game where people can just sit and enjoy their company together. But another thing here we don't have on the list that I also want to mention, talking about, Nintendo putting in the labor of love with some of their games now, we've got a new DLC coming out for Hyrule Warriors, as well as the final Smash character is getting announced next month. Um, what do you think, Vic? Do you really think that Nintendo is putting the labor of love in, or do you think their DLCs are kind of just like a little overrated?
I would probably lean towards a little bit overrated.
Mhm.
But in the same sense, like they're sticking to that same model that they've always stuck to, and it's been successful. So why not don't change it if it's not broken, like just a classic saying, because like we know that this updating character for Smash is the last character that's being added
The
to
last,
Smash.
yeah.
So I mean that's going to be big. Whether it's I don't think that's going to be overrated or anything like that. I'm curious to see who it's going to be. I think they announced that in the next, I think it's like October or something, if I'm not mistaken. I forget
Yeah,
the day that they did
it's
announce that.
actually on our release calendar, and the viewers will give you access to that calendar in the future. But the release calendar itself is I think it's yeah, it's October 28th, I think. or
That's
something around there.
the 28th, my
So
birthday,
it's
so
yeah. So we've got some stuff coming out here soon, and I think it's really awesome that we're going to be able to see more content being pushed by Nintendo. But sticking on the subject of more content pushed by Nintendo, did you see they announced a new Super Mario Party that isn't they're not adding onto Super Mario Party, they're remaking a new one and leaving the old one that they just made for the Switch. They're just pushing that to the side and they're
well,
re-releasing it
that's
with new
curious.
features and such. Yeah, but they're adding N64 maps and a bunch of other stuff. But you know, we're getting a whole new Mario Party instead of just adding on to the game that they already had.
Right. It makes me wonder, like, why they didn't just add to the one like they've already had a game established, and then you could just
Why just not use the same engine and just
right,
add DLC?
right, and just use it as like a live service model, like every other game is. This would be a perfect game to use as a live service model. Like you can just keep putting out new mini games, new maps,
Well,
whatever
and they
you want.
fixed the online multiplayer too. So now they put all this labor of love into fixing the online multiplayer to now to move on just to a new game. And don't get me wrong, it's probably the same engine and all the same stuff. They just said, let's reskin the game.
Right. So it's exciting. I think Mario Party games have
Yeah.
always been fun. I definitely enjoy when I come over to your house and we're playing drunk Mario Party. That's probably like one of the best times ever when we're doing that and drunk Mario Kart. But that's another story for another time. But yeah, man. All the DLCs and the content that we've seen at this Nintendo Direct, I think, was pretty solid, man. Because like they even talked about
Yeah.
like the new Monster Hunter Rise DLC that's coming out called Sunbreak. I've never played any of the Monster Hunter games, but I know that they're big and Rise was very successful on the Switch. So I mean, this is pretty cool to see additional content. Did you play Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch?
I played Monster Hunter World, and then I decided not to move on to Rise. I didn't buy World. I played the beta, and I didn't really care much for it. I don't like the
Yeah,
sort of
this game.
Eastern grinding. Yeah, I it's very grindy is my problem.
Yeah,
The game has too much where you're just fighting the same monster 100 times for the hope that this rare material might drop. I don't really enjoy that style of gameplay, but I
right.
think Monster Hunter Rise really changed the formula a little bit here. And I think with this new DLC coming out, Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, we're gonna be looking at probably a new, maybe even like a real. There's a new story coming for one, so
Hmm.
it's not just here's some new hunts, go forth, have fun. They're adding in a whole new story to the game to follow through. So I think that's pretty cool that they're actually really trying to put in a labor of love for this game. That I do think Monster Hunter Rise is a very good game. It's highly rated. It's it's not it's got over a 4.0 on a lot of places. 93% of people like it on Google. It seems like an alright game, so I'm excited for him. But talking about remakes here though, going back a little bit here. The Switch is also adding a game to their catalog. Knights of the Old Republic is coming to the Switch. The original Knights of the Old Republic is coming to the Switch in November 2021. What's your thoughts on this, Vic? Do you
uh,
really want to see this, or do you just want to see something else?
I mean, granted, we talked about it last week about the remake of KOTOR coming out,
Yep.
and for them to just say, "Hey, we're just going to put the original KOTOR in the Switch," I don't even think. I think that's because they don't want the Switch to feel left out. Because I don't think the Switch would be able to run a remake of KOTOR, just because of like
Yeah,
the size of the game and stuff like that.
it's
It would have
yeah,
to be downgraded a lot, so it'll look just like the original. So
I
why
kind of
release a
agree.
remake?
Yeah,
So I mean,
yeah,
so
with
this would be cool
KOTOR.
to. I think it'll be pretty cool to find a way to include
Yeah.
everybody in the release of Knights of the Old Republic because it's the greatest Star Wars game of all time. So if you missed it, have fun. You can play it on the go for the first time or play it on the TV.
Yeah, and it's definitely a very classic staple in RPG. Whether you're Eastern or Western RPG player, it is a staple in RPGs. So I'm glad to see them releasing it on the Switch, but it hurts it at the same time to have to pay for the game yet again. You know,
Right.
but moving on to some newer things. They announced Bayonetta 3. Have you ever played any of the Bayonettas, Vic?
Nope, this is again one of the series that I have missed out on. It looks cool, but I don't know if it's my cup of tea. But granted, I have a Switch and I'm looking for new games. So when this does come out, and again, 2022 is the projected release date, maybe I'll pick it up and give it a try. Like I don't know if I need to play the first two before I play this one, or because some games you can just pick right
Story
up.
is relevant, but you know, it's it's kind of relevant if you want to know the full backstory of what's going on in the world or who some of these characters are, because they're just going to name them by name, and you're like, who is this guy? Why is this guy a whack job? What is he around for? And we'll never know. But I'm interested to see it because it looks like it's the rapture is happening. In the Bayonetta series, the angels are the bad guys, and you're playing as a half human, half a witch who's trying to stop the angels from essentially bringing the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But the angels are like monstrous creatures that are trying to destroy the world. So
Yeah,
it's
this.
it's interesting to see. But in this game, it looks like humanity knows the end is coming. So I'm kind of interested to see humanity dealing with the fact that the world is ending now instead of them not knowing anything, because this whole time in Bayonetta, nobody knows the world's ending. She just solves it before it happens. So I'm kind of excited
Right.
for this game.
And what's even crazier though that it's been 7 years since Bayonetta 2 originally came out. So to see the sequel finally come out, it's big. It's definitely big for the Switch because
Well,
Bayonetta 2 was a very really successful game, a very popular game, and finally to see the third one, it's important.
and not to mention, they kind of leave every one of those games as they are. And the other thing to note, if you like Devil May Cry and if you never looked at Bayonetta, Bayonetta is actually the love child of the original Devil May Cry franchise creator.
Hmm.
Hideki Kamiya, he made Devil May Cry, left Capcom's Devil May Cry to come over and make his own game, Bayonetta. So this is some classic genius. And yeah, it takes a few years. Like Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2, we thought Bayonetta was it, but then they rebooted it 5 years later, and then now to get another installment of the game 7 years later doesn't seem that bad.
Right.
Because each one of these games feels like they're done, but then we can add some more. Something happens again.
Right. I just hope this game doesn't fall into that whole cyberpunk highly anticipated game comes out and then it's trash. Because you figure
Yeah.
cyberpunk was about 7 8 years before it came out, and then we, we know that
Well,
story.
and the thing is, we were waiting for 7 years. Bayonetta 3, it kind of we saw it and we're like, oh, okay, cool. We didn't know it was coming. So it's not like there's any prior like, oh my god, oh my god. So
Right. But another game that they did announce here at the Nintendo Direct that came out of left field was Chocobo. I think that's how you say it.
Chocobo.
Chocobo
Chocobo GP.
GP was announced. So it's basically Mario Kart, but Final Fantasy.
Chocobo? And
What
it
it?
literally looks like they took the Mario Kart engine and just said, all right, Square Enix, here you go. Pop your stuff into it. And Square Enix is like, thanks, we love cut and paste. And they just started plowing a bunch of characters into it. It's literally Mario Kart, but with a slightly different mechanic. So instead of just like getting an item and you know what the item does, the item evolves. So you pick up the item, and it upgrades. You pick up the item again, and it gets the final form like Fire, Firaga. These classic Final Fantasy spells slowly get
Mhm.
bigger and scarier. So I'm excited to see what happens here. It definitely looks like an interesting game, but it doesn't look like anything that I'm like, oh, they have to play.
Right. I mean,
I
I
would have
think
rather it actually. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it'll be a game that we just pick up just to have fun with friends and stuff like that. Kind of how we do with Mario Kart, just
Yeah,
to fuck around with. But guess what? It's
I
coming
mean,
out in 2022, guys. Just add it to
well,
the
we're at the
super
end of the
long
year at
list.
this point.
Right. But
At
I
this
would
point,
like
we've got 3 months left.
right. So it's just like, man, can we see some stuff maybe 2023? I mean, granted, some of the stuff that we've already talked about coming out in 2022 might get delayed anyway to 2023. That's just how the way of the world works. But they did talk about Splatoon 3 A little bit. I've never played any of the Splatoon games. I know you're excited for Splatoon 3, and the campaign will be called. It says Return of the Mammalins. Are you excited for this?
Mammalia.
Ma-
The Mammalia. It's the return of the Mammalia, which is the return of mammals, because Splatoon is these like human squid hybrids, become super intelligent beings, and they've got ink because they're squids, so they decide, why not just paint everything in our squid color? So like Splatoon has always been a silly game that was, it was just a silly idea when you had Splatoon 1, and they were like, wow, this people loved this. People like just the goofy sort of, it takes like the classic first person shooter to a new level, where instead of trying to kill each other or teabag each other for, kill confirms or claiming dog tags or blowing up a bomb, you got to paint the map. If you die, you explode in the enemy team's color and it continues to paint the map. But to win, you literally just have to paint the map.
right. Yeah.
That's
So
that's it.
it's
And
definitely a
it's
different
such an
take.
interesting game.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it looks fun. I think I'll probably pick up Splatoon 3 when it does come out because I'm excited to try new games, man. But nonetheless, let's move on. Enough of the Nintendo Direct. That was a great conference. I thought that was one of the better ones recently. But a game that did get an announcement is Phasmophobia Anniversary update is coming out. I know you were big into that Phasmophobia.
Well, it's
I
already
played it.
out.
Okay, okay, it's officially out. So they have
Yeah.
added single player. Have you tried it out yet? Then
No, I don't play. I don't play Phasmophobia alone because I'm a bitch. All right, I'll be honest with you. I'm a fucking bitch. I won't play that shit. But no, Phasmophobia, the new update, the anniversary update, it further builds upon the most recent Phasmophobia update, which really um tuned up, added new ghost types, added new equipment, changed how equipment worked. So we're looking at Phasmophobia now with the anniversary update. They're like, okay, we've gotten all the new content out. Let's actually take a moment, step back, and polish the game. There's a lot of hours lost in doing stuff that just doesn't work or is
hmm
just too cumbersome. Like the journal just got an update. Now in the journal, you've got tabs, so you can quickly get to one part of the journal from the other instead of having to click, 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 click. And then what ghost was I looking for? Go back. You now can go up to the menu and pick your evidence, or say this evidence doesn't exist, and now it'll start to highlight the list for you instead of you having to go through a list of all the ghosts. It
hmm
has a list of the ghosts and it highlights them now, saying whether they can or can't be based on the evidence you think it is or is not.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think this is bigger than the most recent update for Phasmophobia, where they added two new ghosts and changed the equipment. I think this update itself has taken the game to a whole new level. It makes it feel a lot more polished and playable.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's exciting, man. I mean this game kind of blew up, man. It's one of the highly most rated games on Steam. It's super popular among streamers and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to see that the support that has gone into the game, and now it's time for the polishing of it and just the quality of life, man. When you enhance certain parts of the game that you didn't like realize that it could be better, and it ultimately like changes the game up really significantly. I think that's awesome to see. Like I played Phasmophobia a little bit, and yeah, navigating that journal was like, what the fuck? Can I just like go to the page I need to do or whatever I'm doing? And now this had added the right features to it. So I think that's pretty cool. But moving on here though, Perfect Dark reboot was announced last year, or yeah, 20, I think it's 2019 or 2020's Game Awards show at the end of the year. But some news coming from it: the initiative has announced that they are bringing on Crystal Dynamics on to help co-develop the game. Crystal Dynamics' most recent game was Marvel Avengers, which we all know was all right. Yep, we all know how that went. But they do have some good games that they have created, like the Tomb Raiders and the remakes of the Tomb Raiders and stuff like that, which were super successful.
Yeah.
So they had their successes, they had their failures. Does the initiative bringing on Crystal Dynamics worry you? Because the initiative was supposed to be Xbox's for a developer. Or is this just going to be the new norm where like multiple game studios work together to make games now? What are your thoughts on this?
I think the thing to take into account is somebody who's, looked at the game development industry, knows how to program, and just deals with that stuff. There's so much involved in game development that you really you have to stretch your talent really thin. You can't specialize in anything, and you got to hope that the people you do have are really good. Now, I think with this, it allows us to, hey, you make the soundtrack, you make the story, you start working on AI modeling, you work on this. It allows people to more or less specialize at what they're already good at. You
Right.
know, I'd rather get a soundtrack by the people who made the Persona 5 soundtrack, you know, and then somebody who made the Final Fantasy game, or like, you know, somebody who, you know, I want the story of Persona 5, but I want the gameplay of, say, the Final Fantasy developers and Square Enix. You know, I want there's, you know, when you let one company do all their own work, you know, you get kind of the same game at sometimes. Like, you just keep getting the same reboot of the same game. But when you have multiple interests coming together, you get different looks or views on how to do things. And I think that's really important. So I'm excited to hear that they're bringing on other people, and Crystal Dynamics. Like, yeah, we
Appreciate the
know they made
follow.
some pretty bad.
Gunnu 5. Appreciate the follow.
Yeah, and I really feel as though at this point, with the Tomb Raider, they were good games. They were great games, but you know, their last game they
This
made
is
as
probably a
Crystal
bot.
Dynamics was, yeah,
I think
the last game we made was Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and you know, there was no game since 2018 from Crystal Dynamics, because clearly the Marvel game didn't happen. We hope that potentially they can make a good Perfect Dark. It's one of the
Mhm.
games I've never played, but I've heard good things about.
Right. Yeah, so my,
So,
my my whole take on this though is I don't think I'm worried. I think this is just an impact that we're starting to see from COVID reaching out to developers, because this is a brand new studio that Microsoft has created, that they announced back at E3 in 2018, and I don't think they were able to hire enough developers to make this studio, because this studio is supposed to be making 4A games. That's the top of the top, the best of the best possible game. And I think they needed to hire another studio to help them reach this goal. And what is pretty cool though, that they already had that deep connection, that historic connection, because the head of the initiative was also the head of Crystal Dynamics at one time. So he already has that connection there. So he might be like, "Yo, come on over, help us do this." They like it's going to be super easy. It's going to be a nice transition and whatnot. The internal video game development company led by Daryl Gallagher. Daryl Gallagher is the guy who worked on with Square Crystal Dynamics and then came over for the initiative now. So Perfect Dark is their first game, and it's supposed to be hopefully coming out within the next year or two. Maybe this will be a 2022 or 2023 release. It would be my guess. But what we got from the game so far is the teaser trailer. But nonetheless, I don't think this is anything to worry about. I just think this is the repercussions of COVID, making the right adjustments as opposed to trying making a game understaffed, and then you're going to get a shitty game. You're going to over push your team, where they're going to be like running into the issues like Cyberpunk had, where they were just
and the other issue, you know, they were dealing with a hot button fan base here, that for them to make the game, and don't and to be honest, they're not the only ones who made the game. At the end of the day, Square Enix made the calls.
mhm.
They're the publisher, so they just developed what they were given. So
From
I'm
which game?
hoping on Marvel.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, at the
I
end of
didn't
the
even
day,
bring that up.
Square
Yeah,
Enix gets the final call.
yeah.
So
So yeah, so I think hopefully that with all this talent, they'll be able to create a really solid game with both developers working on it now. But moving on though to another topic, this is more of an update on something we've already been talking about: Activision Blizzard. It is officially came out now that the United States government is now investigating into this whole ordeal. What's your take on it? Is this going to be very impactful, or is this going to be something that's going to be quick and non impactful?
we're definitely going to be dealing with a. If the U.S. government's going after them at this point, we're looking at multiple lawsuits, big issues, you know, systemic corruption. It, I think we're looking at the writing on the wall, and at this point, I don't know if they're going to even be able to sell their company away to anyone else, let alone somebody in China, where China's banning video games now.
Right.
So I think the issue at hand is we're looking at Blizzard. Blizzard's got a long road ahead of them, and I think after the debacle with the Diablo 2 launch that just happened, I think we're only going to be dealing with worse and worse stuff to come because
Mhm.
Blizzard has been now destroying evidence, hiding corruption, trying to silence opposition. If the U.S. government had to get involved at this point, there's a problem.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. This is definitely worrisome from the people who work for them because and this is bad when the SEC has to get involved with investigating a company in regards to like the work environment and all the negative stuff that they've been dealing with. And then, like you said, they're hiding evidence, they're destroying evidence, and that's fraudulent. Like that's not a good image to begin with. And I'm still curious to see on how this will further impact the company because you figure like granted, Blizzard or Activision is a publisher for a lot of games like Call of Duty and stuff like that. So I'm hoping it doesn't impact Call of Duty's games with their success and whatnot. But I think it's going to be pretty big because I mean, granted, they got to still because they still have World of Warcraft, which is being played right behind you right now by your wife. So it's just like man, there's just so much at stake, so much money that's up at at stake. Like, are they going to be able to sell the company? Like, sell Blizzard or I fix it? Like, I don't know what they could do in that instance. Do you have any thoughts on what can happen to Blizzard itself?
I think at this point we've got to take into account that Blizzard has made their choices. They've made bad mistakes. Eh, They're they are at the point where there is no return from the mistakes they've made. They would have to gut a large portion of the company, and I think we might be looking at the end for Blizzard. Because after they got the company, there's going to be barely anyone left, and the company was made by a lot of people who had terrible views, and they could make good games, but Blizzard's been dead for years to begin with. I don't think there's really it's been dead for quite some time. So
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. So, nonetheless, we'll keep everybody updated. Though, stay tuned for the whole Activision Blizzard updates as they come in. But moving on to another thing in the gaming industry that's been going on: Apple versus the Epic update, or lawsuit. Apple is now going to be temporarily banning or blacklisting Fortnite on all Apple products, whether it's the App Store or just the regular on the Mac and stuff like that. For it says at least 5 years, but that's basically just saying until the final judgment of this case is officially announced. So, what's your take on this? Because like I just don't understand how you would want to even try and ban one of if not the biggest games in the world right now.
um, Apple's greedy. Apple's always been greedy. That's all I can say. Apple's always been greedy, and they are one of the highest or most expensive app stores to be on. They've got a lot of things you've got to do to be able to get on there, and then after you jump through all their flags, they charge you a ludicrous amount of money. I honestly, I don't care much. I don't care much for Fortnite to begin with. So to
Right,
find
but
that they're not able to be played on the phone, oh well.
right,
I know a
but
lot of people are upset to not be able to play it on their phone, but
right. I just like to look at it from Epic's standpoint because like you're losing out on tons of more people who would play Fortnite, tons of more millions of more dollars that are lost now because they can't be played on iPhones, iPads, Macs. Like you're losing out on a significant amount of people. Like the people who had
well,
now can only play the games on Androids or consoles or PC.
well, and then the other thing is like Epic did it in a way that they didn't break the terms of service for Apple. But then Apple found out what they were doing, and Apple's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Mhm.
You're breaking our terms of service. And they're like, rules is written, we're not.
Right.
Sorry.
It's
We
just like
followed your rules as written.
right. My bad that we found your loophole. But it's just like
Yeah.
it's but we go it's it just circles back to that whole greedy thing. And the whole problem was is like Epic found a way to like charge the customer less, and then like not have to pay Apple for the microtransactions that happened in the game.
Correct.
And Apple requires like any transaction that happens in the game go through the store itself
Yeah,
to so they get a share of it. Well, I don't know what the percentage was on it, but I'm sure it was
pretty
probably
big.
an astronomical amount, probably like 30% would be a more realistic number. But I don't think Apple needs that. Like, why couldn't Apple just be like, "Hey, we'll just take 5%, 10%, or whatever," like, or not even at all, because you're not doing anything in the game. We just took the game, we bought the or downloaded the game from your store. I don't see how Apple deserves to make any money from it.
I, I'm with you. And if you're not even using their transaction method, why does it matter?
Yeah. So,
If you give somebody the tools and they don't want to use them and they still go around you and the game is fully functional and it passed their testing,
yep.
because you got to submit your app and then they have to test it and make sure that it seems like it's a good fit for the Apple Store. So
And you know why
whatever.
it probably got pushed through and rushed because, oh, it's Fortnite, it's the biggest thing in the world right now. Okay, and then completely missed it. But yeah, everyone just stay tuned. We'll keep everybody updated as this whole lawsuit pans out, because this will be over the next couple of years for sure. But on to
Yeah,
another big update. China. This is not really necessarily gaming related, but China has now declared all cryptocurrency transactions illegal. What is going on in China, man? What is this
um,
about?
I think the issue at hand is China's trying to crack down on anything that could lead to dissent. Video games, the internet, people existing and breathing on their own. Uh, I think this is their way of saying, whoa, 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 we can't get our hands on cryptocurrency. We're not, you know, they're not, they're, cryptocurrency is untaxable for most part because it's untraceable. It's traceable, but not, they can't watch it all. They
Right,
can't watch all of it, so they don't want to try. So they're like, let's just get rid of it. You can't use cryptocurrency. So you can have it, but you can't use it to buy anything.
right,
So it's a government trying to crack down because the US declared cryptocurrency, not really legal. You can't
right.
pay for goods and services with it technically.
Right. I think it just comes down to company policy, or there's ways around it how you can use it though. But
Yeah.
I'm wondering, in part to this banning the whole cryptocurrency in China comes down to also that the issue with the whole, it affects the environment, because the mining for the cryptocurrency is very like, with the power usage that you need to mine a significant amount of the cryptocurrency is devastating to the environments. And China already has a large population, and if they have even
Their
50% of
carbon
them
footprint is the biggest in the world because
right.
they're the biggest country in the world, and for them to only add more carbon footprint because we all know China's not green energy.
No, not at all. So I'm wondering if that's also what played into that as well, just trying to play devil's advocate. But I don't know. I'm still
Yeah,
iffy about the whole cryptocurrency, because it still like doesn't make sense to me all the way, because it's I'm not going down that rabbit hole today. But
yeah,
we'll definitely keep everybody updated. This is just another. It looks like another bad move in China. Just you're just taking more and more rights and things that are going on that are everybody's doing in the world, and you're just trying to take stuff away and just impact the freedoms that the Chinese people have or don't have in this instance. But we'll keep everybody updated. But on to another topic here. While we're streaming on Twitch here, Twitch is offering music publisher tools to detect song usage. What's your take on this?
um, it's the song industry. We all remember the days of Napster and Metallica. The song industry is one of the hardest hurting entertainment industries right now. It is the lowest of the three between, say, TV and movie, video games, and music.
Right.
It's it's the lowest producer of money at this point, and they feel as though nobody wants to pay for music anymore. When's the last time you bought an album? Don't know.
Can't tell you.
I do. I could tell you when I bought one, but like a lot of people don't buy music. So how do you make your money other than through royalties and through like licensing and such. Well, the issue at hand is they may have licensed a game to play the music, but you as a streamer, you're a content creator. So now if you get caught playing copyrighted music, you can get in trouble. So they can use in other countries, but not their own. Are you referring to the cryptocurrency, Miss Casey, or are you referring to the Twitch audio banning or the audio tools? Because for Twitch now, they're offering people tools to detect, like YouTube has for video content. They've got tools now to help them sniff out songs so that they get flagged automatically now, as opposed to, somebody has to flag your video saying that there's a problem. So right. I think the issue in hand is if you're following the rules, you don't have a problem. But if you accidentally play a song, you're more likely to be found now because the system looks for you on its own.
Right. I just think that they need to create a way to allow content creators to use music a little bit more openly, in a way like, even if like I got to pay a subscription on Twitch that allows me to have access or the right to play any song I want, but then like that money gets divided, goes into a big large pool that gets sent out to all the artists and stuff like that, and it would probably be based off of how often the song was used or how long it was played and stuff like that. I'm sure there's a way around this.
Yeah. So there's probably ways to get it done correctly and conveniently, but I don't think we're ever going to see that because it's just easier to big whack-a-mole hammer it instead of trying to, come in with, the surgeon's scalpel and be like, here's a nice finely crafted way. Big sweeping change is easier than trying to do the right thing. So I think we're definitely gonna look at issues coming, but make sure as long as your stuff is licensed, you're good to go. But the problem in hand then is you have to prove your licensing, and it gets there are a lot. It introduces a lot of gray area where they could be like, oh, I didn't say they could use it. Well, yeah, you did. Here's the contract. Now you have to go through litigation to show them that you had the rights, and now your video is banned or something. Until then,
right? Yeah.
so
It's definitely a lot of. I hope they can just the the entertainment industry can come to a solution here, because it's definitely needed. Definitely on the uprise of people loving to create content more and more, and it's definitely becoming a lot of. There's a lot of gray area too, like you said, and they just got to figure this out. But
yeah,
circling back to chat here, Casey, yeah, I think it is crazy to think that. I don't know how it works. Like, can they use it in other countries, but just not their
yeah,
own? So they can
yeah.
buy stuff in
So
America from
yeah, so
China.
theoretically, what it would allow them to do, then, yeah, I agree. That is a good point. That say for example, somebody wants to fund an anti-Chinese Chinese company in America, they could send them cryptocurrency to do so, as opposed to using regular Chinese dollars. Well, the problem with that is Chinese dollars can be tracked, but it's harder for them to track their crypto that they would say, spend in for an American business or a business of a foreign power that is rivaling them. So I think it does come to it comes down to them not being able to track the currency being used for things that are Chinese.
Right.
Because we can see the anti-Chinese, the anti-everyone else Chinese doctrine right now. So
Pretty much. Which is
moving
definitely
on
crazy.
though, yeah. So Sony, this past week, it's a little late now for us to kind of talk about. Sony had offered this past week PlayStation Plus for $1 for 1 month. What's your thoughts on this, Vic? This
I,
tiny little week long promotion.
right. So I wonder if they're just testing the waters to see how successful it is with PlayStation Plus and see if they get a significant increase in subscribers. But I think what they're also trying to do is find ways to compete with Microsoft, Xbox, because we all know that you can get Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate, whatever it is, for $1. 1 month
For the
for
first
$1.
month.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this is their also entry level in. Like, oh, once you're in, there's like studies show like once you subscribe to something, it takes you forever to unsubscribe from something. like more people will allow it to rebuild over and over without you realizing. You're like, oh shit, I forgot to redo it. So now they already took 3 months worth of money before you even thought about canceling your service. They
Well, it's
won.
like my gym membership. Okay, like don't get me wrong, I did finally go back to the gym, but I had a gym membership charging me for 4 months. I didn't use it.
Right. So it's the same concept, I think, but I think they're just trying to boost their platform because PlayStation Plus isn't really talked about. It's not in the news. There's not much really going on with PlayStation Plus just yet. I wonder if this is just setting up to their big plan that they have in
Or
works.
maybe they're trying to reevaluate the cost because if they can get a boom of sales for PlayStation Plus all of a sudden, then maybe that is the right direction. Maybe PlayStation Plus is a little too expensive. What if we lower the cost, and will that help us to get more people at a different price that will end up with a bigger revenue in the end?
Right. So I mean, we'll
So
see how this all definitely plans out or pans out, I should say. But finishing up here with our last gaming topic of the week is the Halo Infinite flight. The second set of flights came out, and I got to play it. Did you get the invite at all? Were you able to
I
play it?
didn't sign up. I wasn't really that worried about it. I'll wait to see Halo Infinite when it comes out.
I mean, you're just trying to hold off as much as you can until it's finally here. No, I
So I can
understand.
be angry on the day of and not before.
Right. Which I had the opposite feeling. I actually got to play it. I downloaded it on my Xbox and played a few matches of it. I even had my girlfriend Lauren play it, and that was probably the most hilarious thing I've ever watched because she's not a gamer, so she's running around looking up and then straight down and just you know how it goes when non-gamers pick up a controller. So it was hilarious. But when I was on the sticks, I started off playing in the bot lobbies, the 4v4 versus the bots, and I was just like, "Yo, this feels like classic Halo." But granted, yeah, super easy because you're not playing nobody. I didn't
Bots.
die. I had like 35 kills, no deaths. It was just overkill. And then I finally hopped into a competitive match, 4v4, regular, like just Slayer. And I had half of our team's kills, and we won. Go to 50. I had 25. I went like 25 and 11 or something like that. Pretty solid, a little over 2.0, and it felt like classic Halo, but it had like just enough modern touch to it where I could see myself enjoy playing the full featured game. I just think it just lacked. I think the lack of not having maps, like tons of maps to play on, definitely hurt it a little bit. But they're just testing things and working it out. And what was interesting is completely forgot that you were only allowed to play this during certain hours competitively. And I was like trying to play it. I'm like, why the fuck isn't it loading? I like look it up. There you could play competitive from like 9 p.m. to 12 midnight, and I was trying to get on at like 6. So I was sitting there waiting and waiting and waiting, and I finally like looked it up and found out, oh, I can't play because the servers aren't turned on right now. You can go play in the the bots and the other like tutorial stuff that you can the gun range and whatnot. So you can still play and get better. But hey Casey, what was your thoughts on playing the game? If not, but Roger, did you see any videos of it recently?
Oh, I haven't looked at it at all.
Oh, okay.
And I'm glad to hear that it's a lot more like Halo than the last games because uh, Halo 5 was kind of a depressing mess to me, and I really the last fun Halo game to me was really Halo 3. Halo 4 was okay, but nothing like Halo 3.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree. But no, I think
Reach was okay, but
this is definitely going back to its roots of just being something super enjoyable, doing pulling off stupid shit in Halo. Like I was watching streamers just like do some stupid shit. Like the dude was driving in a ghost. A person hopped on the ghost. You can still drive it while they're hijacking it. So he like
yeah.
drove it towards a cliff. So by the time the animation completed, the guy was in the driver's seat. He was off. So he used his little um uh, uh grappling hook, right? Got back to safety and watched the other guy who just hijacked his vehicle die and explode. So like just seeing that stupid shit happen again is just it's awesome to see Halo. And I think Halo's back, man. I honestly think it is for my first 2 days of playing it. So I'm really excited. I hope everybody who has the invite check it out. I think it goes on for a couple more weeks or weekends or whatever it is. There's certain times that you can play it and whatnot, but definitely check it out if you can, or hold off like Roger and then just enjoy it when it does come out in December. But nonetheless, man, let's close it out with this week's deep freeze moment. What are 2 games that you wish that you can experience for the first time over again? What is your first one?
Right. So if I'm saying that I'm experiencing the game over for the first time, am I playing it as is right now, or am I playing it as it was at that moment in time? Because I'm looking at like DLC and other stuff and like updates or expansions.
Just the base game, first time going through it that
Halo,
you enjoyed, because obviously these got to be
uh,
games that you really enjoyed, that you want to have that
yeah.
same feeling from that game again.
For me is what I miss is the original feeling of World of Warcraft, like Burning Crusade, the days when I was like in middle school playing Burning Crusade. You know, you boot up into Halo, it takes forever to load, you're maybe on a dial-up internet connection, everyone hates you because nobody can get phone calls, but you're having fucking fun on fucking World of Warcraft. I honestly, those were the days. Like, I didn't know anything. You know, you didn't have all these different websites telling you how to do shit. You didn't have add-ons telling you how to do things. You had to read the quest log and be like, all right, where the fuck is this location on the map? I don't even see it. And it says head south. All right, I head south. Oh shit, I ended up in the wrong zone and die. And then
Yeah,
okay, no, let's I went too far south. All right, let's try here. I liked the original, like back in the day, Burning Crusade World of Warcraft for me. It was a revamp on classic, like the original World of Warcraft that I never really played, and it was a lot of people loved it, and I did too.
right. Okay, gotcha. To answer Casey real quick, Halo 5 was absolute worst. I could, yeah, it could definitely could. It definitely was that close to just be like, that's it, guys. But Halo 5, even still, apparently its multiplayer was successful in a way, whether we liked it or not. But the campaign was where it was like, eh, garbage. But I mean, that's all opinionated based. But I definitely agree. Halo 5 could have just definitely ended Halo right then and there. It was close. It was definitely close. But my game that I, my first game that I would love to relive. I hate to say it, we're staying along the lines of Halo, man, but just reliving Halo for that first time, playing through the entire campaign, it was just, it was encapsulating, man. Like the music, the how it made you feel, like just loading up the damn game. The Halo's theme song, man, just gives you chills. Even till today, that's the Halo theme song that plays on Halo Infinite's Flight. That song comes on, you're just